Hello everybody, Xyno here, and I have been playing F-Zero GX a lot recently, and it's got me thinking about tons of ideas that they should implement for a sequel to another F-Zero game if they actually ever do it, because we know they're not. But this is going to be a heavily unscripted video, so don't be surprised if there are jump cuts all over the place, and if I go off into a tangent about something else and things aren't as laid out as they usually are. I apologize. This is all there's no script, there's no notes, there's nothing. I'm just going off my brain and jump cutting to things that make sense. But first things first, even though Amusement Vision has been dissolved into Sega, I gotta say, they gotta find the people who made the engine for that, because they used the Super Monkey Ball engine for the GameCube years ago, and the gameplay for F-Zero GX was pristine. It was precise. It was smooth, crisp. They gotta find a way to make it play like that again, because it was literally the best iteration of F-Zero we've ever had. Even though they made a bunch of sequels for the Game Boy, that emulated the SNES style of gameplay from the first game from decades ago. But we need something that shows off the technology of today. And the fact that they already made a game like that almost 20 years ago, it stands the test of time. Even graphically, it stands the test of time. And that's another thing that would be amazing for them to just showcase. If they just remastered F-Zero GX, I'm pretty sure everybody would be happy who loves Nintendo and Sega and F-Zero and blah, 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 blah. But I want to talk about some core improvements to how they handle the franchise, because they can get the racing down really easily. They can pretty much just copy and paste F-Zero GX and maybe further implement it for today's consoles, like, because we don't have analog triggers anymore, so they're going to have to figure out a way to fix that for the drifting mechanics. They can slowly change the controls for that. But to see a franchise as big in terms of potential lore for F-Zero, they are underutilizing the crap out of that. I mean, Captain Falcon has been the only thing that's come out of this franchise for the last 15 or so years. And after you look into the game, like even F-Zero X, F-Zero, with its built-in comic and the instruction manual, if you find it on the internet somewhere, F-Zero GX, there is tons and tons of lore for each character, for the planets they hail from the racetracks that have been created, for the planets that they race on, how Earth is, the state of the Earth, who's the criminals, who's the justice, the people, the reasons why they're racing. They could explore in tons of different ways in a new game on how that works. And it stinks to see that, I think Shigeru Miyamoto in an interview, I don't have the source, so this could be completely fake, but he says he's not making an F-Zero sequel because he doesn't know how to further advance the gameplay for F-Zero anymore. And that is a lame excuse, because they haven't really been doing that for like Mario Kart, for example. So I'm guessing this is just a cover excuse for him to kind of ignore the franchise, which really sucks, because that's the biggest way they could ever improve the series of F-Zero, is just further expanding the world and lore. And you could even do that through a sociable online method. And this is God, I've been ranting for so long. This is where we're going to dive into the first suggestion they should make. And it's weird for me to actually call Namco up to the job for this, but the main reason why I think they should use Namco as a side developer for this is because they've made games like Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2, where you can take your customized character, heck, you could even just pick one of the 30, 40 characters they have in F-Zero, but customized character would be the first thing. Make your own pilot, that'd be insane. You can already make your own vehicles. Why not make your own pilot? Wouldn't that be freaking awesome? But to take it even further than that, they should use the team that Namco uses for Dragon Ball Xenoverse, and I think they actually do it for a couple other anime games like Naruto. I haven't played them, but having a lobby, an open lobby area like a bar. I mean, you've seen some of the cutscenes in F-Zero GX where it's like neon lights at night at Mute City. It's really cool, atmospheric, and amazing looking, and you can have all your friends in a public lobby or just with strangers running around doing these things, meeting up, conducting races with each other, communicating with each other, forming gangs, forming racing groups. I can't think of the name right now. And you could have all these things set up all in a online, almost MMO-like lobby. It doesn't have to be as big as like MMOs where there's hundreds of characters running across the screen, but like 30 people per lobby running around doing their own thing, watching them go set up races at a race station, go to the bar to hang out and customize your character. You can buy parts for your vehicles, you can unlock machines from the story mode, you can see and watch all these people do these kinds of things while like emoting and having fun with people. It literally almost sounds like a no-brainer for a game like this. Honestly, it sounds like a no-brainer for a bunch of games and franchises, but for F-Zero, it'd be the best way to like explode the type of, and I'm going to put this in huge quotes, innovation for Nintendo games, because they're usually closed off environmentally in big ways. Yes, Nintendo has a lot of online games, but they're usually very restrictive on how they set it up and how you can navigate people online. Probably the biggest, most open online game they have is Pokemon to a certain degree and Mario Kart, but this would just set it on fire, and they would probably want to do it for other games. But I know this is a big like match made in heaven if this ever happened, is if they collaborated with Sega for the gameplay, they collaborated with Namco for the open lobby customization and other assets like that for the online functionality. It would just be one of the most perfect games for racing in a long, long time. And that was the main reason why I wanted to make this video. Just that they just need to find a way. You already know that Nintendo are in good like hands with Namco because they helped co-develop Super Smash Brothers. Now that I'm thinking about it, how in the hell is Super Smash Brothers Online so bad when you have a company like Namco to handle? I guess they're so restrictive on how they implement these features. But if they took the team, I think it's Dimps, if I recall correctly, they helped co-develop Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2. And I'm sorry that I keep going back to it. It's just the perfect example. I literally spent mindless hours screwing around with people in the open lobby. And imagine doing that in an F-Zero environment is insane. But that would be like the not bare minimum. It would be the minimum thing that I would want them to do with this franchise. Because we wouldn't even have to talk about the story mode that they could do. You wouldn't even have to just only play as Captain Falcon. You could play as a whole bunch of different racers and have a bunch of mini stories you could play that could unlock the character or unlock in like different machines tailored for the character, which would be completely nuts. Like, I know Captain Falcon is always known to have the blue Falcon to drive, but what if there was some story scenario where he unlocks a new type of machine to race? Maybe his blue Falcon gets stolen and he has to contact the guy who looks like Dr. Octagonopus. He has to make him a custom one that he has to use to search and enter races to maybe get his blue Falcon back from ransom. Who knows? That there's so many different stories that you could do for this, and each guy could have a little mini campaign. And if you beat it on like extra hard or something, you could unlock a new machine to use for that pilot, which would be totally nuts. And not even to mention the fact that we could further expand the customize your own vehicle like they did in F-Zero GX. Because even though you didn't have, I mean, you had a lot of parts to choose from. You could turn that up to 11 in terms of how many parts you could add, especially if you have the option to make your own pilot, because your pilot would definitely want to earn race and collect and buy new parts to make better machines. You could just have so many parts, so many unique combinations, so many wacky and efficient machines that people could create and share online and race with each other online, that it would have so much replayability. It would be freaking insane. And to make vehicles even more unique, you could take inspiration from, I wouldn't call them racing simulations because they actually don't have a lot of customizability, but games like Forza, and I don't know if Gran Turismo does it, but I played tons and tons of Forza. You could add the improvement to the layer system to have cool designs on your F-Zero machines. Instead of manufactured cars with anime characters on them, you could have F-Zero machines with really cool art of anime characters that are reintroduced into F-Zero, or have art of like Captain Falcon looking really cool, Black Skull, okay, you know what I mean. All the characters, people can make community-made skins pretty much for machines. They could do it for official skins, official machines for all the pilots. You could have them apply to all the custom machines you can make for your custom pilot. Sky's the limit. And then of course you could use the community tab to share and not auction. I don't think they would adopt something like that, but you could just take these user created like machine like layers and share them everywhere, because we do have a layer system and a customize your own emblem system in F-Zero GX, but it's extremely limited for the hardware at the time. You could only have 4 emblems on there, and you could only put them in certain spots, which is a little weird. But even with the 360's graphical technology, games like Forza 4, you could add 100 or 1,000 layers to a customized vehicle and have it saved onto there. And with the Switch, I know the Switch is more powerful than an Xbox 360. At minimum, you could have 100 layers to create something really cool and unique for your machine. Like, these are a bunch of racing features that have been implemented over the past decade or so that they could totally make it unique and really cool for a game like F-Zero to have. Because yeah, we have racing games that are realistic with the car manufacturers and stuff, but you've never had a futuristic racing game that's had all these kinds of features like this before. And to have an open hub lobby where you can talk to your friends, hang out with people, race other people online, it just sends the potential for this series to take off just so well. And it makes me so mad that they've essentially abandoned this franchise, because this could be the one to set it off for other people to create unique and creative ideas for stuff like this. But I don't know. I don't know how expensive it would be to do, but Nintendo obviously doesn't. Nintendo obviously has money for this stuff, and this would be a cool way for them to take a chance with the franchise again, because I'm pretty sure back in the day when F-Zero GX was being developed, they took a huge chance with development, because they handed it off to Sega, a completely different company, to develop this game. And even though they were overseeing the development, they added the lore that they did, even though it was on a base level. They added all the multiple choice options when you won the Grand Prix. There were 40 characters to select, which for a racing game is freaking nuts. They had more characters in F-Zero GX than they did in Super Smash Bros. Melee, and that came out on the same console. I know the development of racing is just more of like a stat meter maker, but you gotta admit, F-Zero GX was one of the most ambitious space race type games that there ever was. And there's really no bar that has nothing, no other space racing game has really beat it in terms of content, customizability, maybe story, but that's because F-Zero GX's story is laughably hilarious. It's cheesy, but this franchise needs something brand new, and all those ideas put together doesn't sound like a pie-in-the-sky idea in terms of development, because yes, it's been done before for different genres of games, but taking pieces of these genres and putting them into this type of scenario, I don't know, I'm not thinking of the right word right now, would breathe a lot of fresh air, I can't think of the word again, into this type of racing series. Because taking customizability from Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2, taking vehicle customization from Forza, and taking social ability from Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2, and having the setting of F-Zero is something I've never ever seen before. And since technically those have already been developed, people have experience with making these kinds of features that they can just take and piece together, which means they don't have to use a lot of experimental coding to make sure things work right, and they don't have to spend so much time to make sure that all this stuff works correctly, because it's already been done before. So they don't have to spend an absurd amount of money laser scanning tracks. They can just take a track maker, which could be another feature, by the way, because they've had that in older games. You could easily do that with today's technology, which would add even more endless replayability to this game, and have all these little features literally come together and have a game that you could probably almost support for years and years and years to come. But I don't know. Does that sound like an out-of-the-park idea? Because I don't think it does. Not at all. Forza Horizon 2, 3, and 4 almost have kind of done this to a certain degree. It's just in an open world environment, and you never get out of your cars. but you can customize your characters in those games, and those games come out bi-yearly. You could literally work on this game for about 2 years, bullshit your way through making a story, add tons and tons of tracks, add tons and tons of customizable machines, pilots. It's so, oh, they just need to do this. If only I had the ability to help, but we need to find a way to tell them this idea, because it needs to happen. Like this is one of my dream games that need to happen before I die. And I hope not to die for like 80 more years. But good God, if a game like that came out in my lifetime, I'd play that so much, because with the type of gameplay F-Zero has, it's so intense, and to have your own character win a tournament online against other people would be one of the most exhilarating feelings you'd ever have. And it wouldn't be some normal race. It would be a race that you're flying around at 800 miles an hour, you're breaking Mach 1, you're moving so fast you could fall off the track at any moment, fly off and explode. This is the thing we need to see, and they need to showcase it like none other. And it'd be really cool if they announced even something similar like this soon, because Nintendo's been very quiet about their developed games recently, and it'd be extremely lucky of me to make a video like this right before they unveil a new game like this. Because I've had not track record, but I've had funny moments where I complain about, man, this franchise has been dead for a while. When are they going to make a new game? And then like a week later, they announce it. I did that with Soul Calibur 6. I did that with Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Those are the only 2 games that come to my mind. But it'd be really cool to see a game announcement for a new F-Zero game soon. Hopefully they don't go nostalgia crazy and try and make a game that suits to the SNES era, and they try and innovate and build off of the GX series, because I feel like that was the high point. But I don't know. If you guys made it to the end of this video, I applaud you very much, and I want to know about your opinion on these ideas, because I think this could reasonably be done within a few years, and it would be so awesome to see as like a next-gen Switch game, or even a base Switch game, because there are some pretty looking games you can do, and Nintendo knows how to develop for that console. This would be one of the most ambitious projects to see in a long time, and I would love to know your opinion on it. But if you enjoy these ideas, you know what to do. I'm not going to say those godforsaken words that you hear on this website, and I wish you all a good day, and Xyno's out of here! Oh, and if you want to watch me play F-Zero, watch me on Twitch. I rage a lot, and I play F-Zero and a bunch of other games. Xyno's out.